Hey, this is Jason at J&J Firearms. I'm going to give you a quick little rundown on how to remove the factory magazine disconnect from a Mark III. As you can see, I got a Mark III sitting here. It is unloaded. It does have a magazine in it, and the problem is magazine disconnects shouldn't really be even on a gun to begin with. It's an idiotic thing that people in the People's Republic of California and states like that like to put on the guns because they think it makes them safer, wherein it really does not. So I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this gun. If you don't know how to disassemble a Mark III, you probably ought not be trying to attempt this. You're going to probably end up messing up your gun. I'll be back in a second when I've got it disassembled. Alright, now we've got this thing disconnected, and boy, I want to apologize for all the shakiness. I'm actually holding this camera and recording at the same time. There's this little piece of metal in here. It's curved, and there's a little, what I would call a little tab on the bottom of this piece of metal right here. And what you want to do is you want to file this down. Now there are little kits where you can buy a bushing to replace this. There are people who will pull this entire piece out. I don't recommend pulling this entire piece out and replacing it with nothing. If you do that, you'll have problems with pieces. You'll have problems with your hammer falling over to the side. Here's your hammer right here, and it fits on the same little pin here. And what happens is your hammer will slide too far over, and it'll give you problems with disassembly and reassembly, or not disassembly, but reassembly and things like that. And if you remove this entirely, it's just a pain in the tail. You can go and spend the money and have one of these kits sent to you to put a bushing in, but if you just take a file and file that down smooth in this area right in here, what that'll do is there's a little tab on there that catches and doesn't let the hammer go forward, and that will remove that so that the hammer can be released when you pull the trigger. And then you just put it all back together. Be careful, there's a little bitty detent right here, well, not a detent, but a little pin here that will go away. It's rubs on this spot on the safety and catches that. Whenever you move the safety from one place to the next, you will notice it goes right there inside that hole in the safety. You can get a better shot of it. There's a little spring in there also. You make sure do not lose those pieces, because if you do, your safety will flop around and it won't be operable, and you won't know why. So like I said, there's all kinds of little pieces that can fall off of here. They're all held together by springs and pins and stuff, and once you take that slat off, you can remove the entire thing just by pulling one little pin. This little pin that holds it in the side right here holds the whole thing together. You pull that out and all the stuff comes out of there. Right. Anyway, here we are with everything back together. You'll notice a little piece sitting there. It's right here that we had. And you'll also notice, if you look down in there, there's absolutely no magazine in here, as you can see. And when you pull the trigger, would allow the hammer to fall if the cocking spring and stuff were in. The hammer spring was in here. So anyway, that's basically all there is to it. That one little pin takes down the whole thing. Like I said, be careful. There's a little detent and a spring in this safety, and there's also one I didn't mention earlier. There's one right here in the trigger underneath that transfer bar, and if you don't watch out, that thing will fly across the room. You want to make sure that you take this gun apart as any time. First of all, of course, make sure it's unloaded, and secondly, take it apart, disassemble it, and work on it in a fairly clean area, because Murphy's Law dictates that if you do have something a little bitty and hard and spring powered that will fly across the room, you definitely want to be able to find the thing if it does fall, and you will guaranteed drop something. There is no doubt about it. Anyway, that's pretty much all there is to it. Like I said, I recommend removing it. It's absolutely unneeded. It's not a safety item. There's absolutely no reason for you to have it. It makes you it's actually a safety item to have it in there, because what happens is you have, in order to disassemble the gun, you have to have a magazine in the gun, which is just idiotic. It says it in the instructions for disassembly to put a magazine in the gun and pull the trigger. It's only a matter of time before somebody accidentally puts a magazine in the gun with a live round in the magazine and cocks it and thinks that it's empty and slams the magazine in there, pulls the trigger, and bam! Then you shot the gun, and that's not a good thing. So, like I said, you take the magazine disconnect out. You don't have to have a magazine in the gun to pull the trigger. Pulling the trigger is required for disassembly. It releases the hammer, and if you don't release the hammer, you can't take all this takedown pin and all this stuff out of it. So, anyway, that's pretty much all there is to it. I'm going to put this thing back together and see y'all later.